Let me ask. You've been looking. Have you been searching? Show that will speak to you. A show built for you. Something powerful, fun, real, raw, and opinionated. Well, baby, open up your ears as we open up our minds. Let's do this, baby. Let's do it. Welcome to Religiously Kentucky. If it's Kentucky football and basketball, we are all about it, and we're talking about it. This is Religiously Kentucky, and now your hosts, Jay Hayes, the Wild Child, and J.D. Hall, the voice of reason. Let me ask you, congregation, have you been looking? Have you been searching? Have you been praying for a podcast about Kentucky basketball and football? A show that will speak to you. A show built for you. Something powerful, fun, real, raw, and opinionated. Well, baby, open up your ears as we open up our minds. Let's do this, baby. Let's do it. Welcome to Religiously Kentucky. If it's Kentucky football and basketball, we are all about it, and we're talking about it, and we're damn sure opinionated about it. This is Religiously Kentucky, and now your hosts, Jay Hayes, the Wild Child, and J.D. Hall, the voice of reason.
Big Blue Nation, what is up? I'm your guy, Jay Hayes, and he is,
just like the intro says, his voice of reason, J.D. Hall.
And we are Religiously Kentucky, twiddling thumbs. Nothing much going on. We did, however, have the NBA draft.
Yes.
And so we got to talk about that.
A little bit.
Yeah, just for a second, because I know I said last week, but gonna say Sharp's name that much, but we got to. Shade Sharp, number 7 to the Trailblazers, in which I was right on that.
Yeah,
I got to point that out.
And now it sounds like there's talk about if there's going to be a trade for KD, that Sharp will be included in that trade to the Nets for KD.
Yeah.
So
so that's crazy. And then Ty slides, just like Keldon Johnson did,
just like Maxey did, just like Quickly did. So
and goes 29
right
to Memphis.
Right, because NBA draft is weird. Like the trades, when they get, like, they announce the trades, or the trades happen, but they don't get announced, and the team that originally has the pick makes the pick, but eventually, you got trades for draft picks 6 years down the road,
right?
But then they announce it, and now he's drafted by the Rockets. Like, it's weird the way the NBA does all this.
It's like
all their stuff.
If I'm not going to play for the Grizzlies, I don't want to put that hat on.
Right.
I want to put on the Rockets hat,
which he got a couple days later.
Right. Still though, when I walk,
when you walk on stage, you want to be wearing the hat of the team that actually drafted you,
right?
Not the team that drafted you for the team that's going to draft you,
right?
Right. So
I didn't get to watch all of.
I didn't watch
draft.
any. I didn't watch any of it because
I just saw
obviously
like
it was
highlights, and I was keeping up on my phone because I
it
was
was
at
a
work, and
it was a Thursday night.
yeah,
I got to work Friday morning, so I was in bed at like 8:30, I think, something like that. It was before the draft started. So I didn't watch any of it.
right. Let me ask you about this.
Yeah.
Shaden Sharp, number 7, hadn't
Right.
played in almost 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
Is this going to impact the game? Is this going to change other players' minds to say, you know what, I'll just go practice somewhere. I'm not going to play.
I don't think so. That's the whole Sharp situation was just weird. Right?
Yeah. Yep.
You know, because the original graduation of December, and then all of a sudden he graduated in the previous May, and like that whole like, I think there were some eligibility issues or questions maybe by Kentucky and the staff when they started hearing that noise about, well, maybe he graduated in May instead of December, and you know the transcript that we were given wasn't exactly 100% correct, so we can't really play this guy and risk our season for one kid who may or may not end up being eligible.
Right.
So I think that was all, you know, part of the whole situation with him too, about him not playing. But I don't think this is really going to be much of a change because everybody thought, who was it, Moutier? Or no, going even farther back. I can't remember the kid's name right now. I'm drawing a blank. That went overseas first, went to China. Brandon Jennings, right? Everybody thought Brandon Jennings was going to be this big, like, earthquake change to college basketball, and that all these high school kids were going to start going overseas to play for a year and then come back and go to the NBA. Right. And that didn't happen. So I don't think that this situation with Sharp is going to be as impactful either.
Yeah.
Because kids could have always done it. Like, kids could have always done it.
And it wasn't that long ago, too. People were freaking out about the G League.
Right.
The new, we're going to get these guys. Not many are going.
I mean, you're getting a few, like, Matas Buzelis just announced to it. So
you're getting a couple. But not like,
you're probably getting 5 or 6 a year from each class that are going. Maybe a few more. But it's not, the entire top 15 or top 20 kids, which I think a lot of people thought was what was going to happen. The top 15 or top 20 kids were all going to go G League,
right? Because
they could get paid, and that didn't happen even before NIL started. That didn't happen that first couple of years. So, I think this is kind of the same thing. It's not going to be this huge shift in the way any kid approaches what they're going to do in college.
If I was coming out of high school, I was like, I know I'm going to be in the top 10 draft. I can go to a school late. Don't even have to play.
But then again, you're also risking that you're going to stay that top draft pick.
Right. You are.
Based off year-old tape.
Yeah.
Against kids that were smaller than you, weaker than you, less athletic than you.
And then you're going to have to go show out in the combine.
And then,
because evidently that's what happened.
Yeah, but he didn't play 5-on-5. It was all his vertical and his measurable. That's all it was.
Still,
like, they still don't have any competitive tape on him.
Right. Time will tell.
In over a year. Right. So I don't know if Shaden Sharp is going to be successful in the NBA.
Right.
Because
it's playing slots.
Right, because you haven't seen him play against any type of competition.
Right.
And now you're a GM for the Trailblazers, drafted at number 7. When you draft a guy that high, you want him to be a sure thing.
Right.
And is Shaden Sharp a sure thing? No, he's not, because you don't know what you're going to get from him once he starts going up against these players that are going to be just as big and strong and fast and as athletic as he is.
Right. I mean, the Trailblazers passed on Jordan, so.
Yeah, but they didn't need Jordan because they drafted Clyde Drexler the year before, and they needed a center.
That.
So, but they needed a center, and the best center in the draft was Sam Bowie at the time. So, that was the best center in the draft that was available, because I think Akeem was drafted
And
before
boy, did
Bowie.
have a
So
nice NBA career.
he did, but I mean, it was obviously limited by injuries to his feet and his knees and stuff like
Right,
that. So,
right.
but
Time will
again,
tell.
time's
will
going to
tell.
tell whether or not Shaden Sharp is going to be successful.
Right.
I'm not going to say I hope he is. I don't wish any ill will on any kid coming out of college going to the
Right.
NBA.
Right.
I hope he's successful. I hope he is. But there's just so many questions around him and whether or not he is who people think he is.
Yeah, a lot of question marks.
Yeah.
How do you feel about Ty slipping?
I'm surprised he fell that far.
Right.
I thought for sure he was going to be top 20, a lock for top 20.
I was thinking somewhere at like 20, 22. No higher than that.
So I'm not exactly sure what happened. Maybe teams have questions about his knee and ankle, and that's why he slid. Maybe they had questions about his efficiency because once he started getting banged up, he was very inefficient
Right.
from the floor shooting the ball. But I don't know. I don't
Still
know if
a
Houston
first
is
rounder.
still a first rounder, still got that guaranteed contract, going to make about $2 million.
Yeah.
Is Houston a great spot for him? I don't know. They're a pretty terrible team. So you
right.
As a first round draft pick, even at the back half of the end of the first round, they're probably going to expect a lot out of you as a rookie.
Yeah.
I mean, I think Houston's got some nice pieces, but whether or not it's a great situation for him, I don't know.
Right.
You know, a lot of the guards that have kind of slipped from Kentucky in the last few years have ended up in really good situations.
Yeah.
Like I know the Knicks are the Knicks, but that was a pretty good situation for IQ because it got him on the floor early and playing. Maxey going to the Sixers, that was a good, he wasn't they didn't really expect anything out of him that first year. He didn't play a whole lot that first year. But he got enough experience that now the Sixers look at him as a cornerstone and basically untouchable in any trade. So I have a feeling that Ty is going to make the teams that passed on him regret passing on him.
Yeah, I believe so. He's got that fighting will. Then we had Davion Mintz and Kellen Grady.
Yep. Both signed contracts.
Yeah, the league minimum 1 year.
Right. With it, something 10.
Yeah, Exhibit 10.
Exhibit 10. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's
which is basically just a
league minimum.
Right, but it's basically just a training camp invite.
Right.
From what I read. So
right. Well, you're still getting paid.
But you're still getting paid. So you go in there and if you're Grady and Mintz, you show them, okay, this is what I can do. This is why you signed me.
It's an open door opportunity.
You got it's anytime you get a chance to go and do something like that as a player, you got to take that opportunity.
Right.
Especially if you're undrafted. Any opportunity that you're given, you got to take it because you never know when you're going to impress the right person and it's going to lead to you getting signed to a real contract or a two-way or even a two-way contract.
Right. Right.
So it's great that they got that. They're getting that opportunity to hopefully show, like with Grady, to show that he's healthy, that his feet are healed up, and that what people saw the last, 5-6 games of him shooting the ball, that wasn't him. What they saw the first 25 games.
Yeah.
That's the guy. When he was shooting 46% from three or whatever it was, that's the guy that they signed, not the guy at the end of the season.
Right.
Oh, so
and that could be why he got the opportunity.
It could be, yeah, because the way the NBA is going, like you need shooters. You want 3 or 4 shooters out there on the floor at all times.
Everybody's shooting threes.
Yeah. Well, no.
Everybody wants to shoot threes.
Not everybody is Golden State, right? So you can't, as a team, emulate what Golden State is doing. Our buddy Matt Jones was on that kick again today about this is the way the game's going, threes and layups, and that's all you should shoot.
Yeah.
Like, damn, dude, like you can't force that model to your team.
Yeah.
Like you can't force your team to play that way.
There's 20,000 listeners out there regurgitating
right, because
bullshit.
The only way that works for you to be successful and win a title or win a championship in the NCAA is if you have Steph Curry and Klay Thompson. Like that's it. That's the only way it works. And let's forget about when they won, with KD. KD lives in the mid-range. He kills the fucking mid-range.
Yeah.
Sean Livingston was killing people with that elbow jumper.
Yep.
Like
facts.
They didn't just rely on the threes and layups. They were efficient with their offense. They took good shots. That's what you need in your offense. You don't need threes and layups only. You need good shots. You need good offense.
This is how I know and why I like doing this show with you, because you got in your feelings about that. You was like, this is some bullshit.
It's stupid. It pisses me off when I understand the analytics.
Right.
I understand like people are looking at that and like whatever. I get it. But you cannot sit here and tell me you would want Keon Brooks shooting a 3 over an 18-footer when he's much more comfortable shooting an 18-foot jump shot.
Right.
Than shooting that 21-foot 3.
It's
a 3-foot difference. But he's a lot more efficient, and he's a lot more efficient. He's a lot better. Right. He's a lot more confident shooting that shot from 18 feet than he is at 21 feet.
Yeah.
So you want your players taking good shots. You want your players taking confident shots. Because if they're not confident shooting a 3, it don't matter how many goddamn threes they take because they're going to brick every single one of them. So I don't want my team forcing 3-point shots.
Right.
Just because the analytics say the only good shot on the basketball court is a 3-pointer or a layup. Kiss my ass.
I think we might see that this year. I think we might see that this year because all the NBA feedback is, well, we need to see you shoot a 3.
Right. They need to see that you have that ability.
Right.
But it can't be, and especially like you can't take an NBA offense and put it in college.
Right. Right.
The game is different.
Yeah.
The floor spacing is different.
A lot of people don't understand that.
Right. The floor spacing is different just from the dimensions of the floor and the paint and everything.
Yeah.
So right there, your spacing is better because you got the longer 3-point line, you got the wider lane, you got the defensive 3-second call. Like there's so many different things with NBA offenses, and plus you've got the greatest players in the world playing in the NBA.
Right. Yeah.
So you can't take an NBA offense and expect a college team to be as efficient on offense as an NBA team would be trying to run the same fucking offense. Stop with comparing NBA offenses and bringing NBA games to college because it's not going to work.
NBA analysts do that shit.
Right. It's dumb.
And
because college players are not NBA players. Right?
Yeah.
And the ball movement for Golden State is next level. I'm not a Golden State fan, but I respect what they do.
Right.
And I can see why their offense works the way that it does. Because you got 2 of the greatest shooters in NBA history on that team, for one. So you have to respect that over anything else. And as soon as Curry crosses the half-court line, you got to be out there defending him.
Right.
Because he'll pull it from 35.
Yeah.
Right.
And you got crazy man Draymond Green out there going nutty.
Right. But the way they pass the ball and their movement off the ball, like it's next level.
Yeah.
And you can't expect that from a college team.
Yeah.
And you can't expect any college team to execute that offense
right
the way that any NBA team is going to execute that offense.
Right.
Period. So stop comparing, because the shot chart that Matt Jones tweeted out was an NBA shot chart. Stop it.
Quit.
College and NBA are 2 different games.
Yeah. He'll figure it out one of these days.
No, he won't.
No, he won't. Probably not. But and let me ask you this too. I'm going to keep you in your feelings. Why was it a
Man.
thing? Why was it a thing about John Calipari being at the NBA draft or not being at the NBA draft?
Well,
Why was it
if
like,
you,
oh my God, the talking heads and like
I didn't
why?
care. Like
Why?
I
Yeah, I
think
didn't
like
either.
look
I didn't
look
either. So
at
why was it a thing?
but look at Aaron Calipari.
Agnet,
He was
Stern,
he was he was obviously at the draft at some point
right?
because he was sending her pictures and selfies from the draft. It doesn't mean he stayed at the draft, right?
Right.
Maybe he had, he went to the draft and he talked to Sharp and he talked to Ty before the draft and he congratulated them and wished them and did everything that a coach really
Right.
should do, but he did it before the draft instead of taking that TV time in the green room when they got drafted.
Right.
Now,
I was just like, it's that time. It's that
but let's
time
hold
of
on.
year.
Like people always want to say that Calipari, like his haters, only cares about himself.
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
Okay, so now maybe his thinking was, I'm not going to take any attention away from these kids on their night
Right.
by going and sitting there and getting on TV when they get drafted. Right.
But
And that's
when he does that, he
but when he
always
does,
gives them the shine. He
he
always
does.
like
He
talks
does.
about them,
He does. But maybe this is a switch in the way he's doing it where he wants them to get all of it. He doesn't want any of that focus, any of that attention on him. Because that's what a lot of people may complain about with Calipari over the last year plus is that, well, we're tired of seeing him, we're tired of hearing him. He needs to shut up. He just needs to coach basketball. Blah blah blah. Well, he did that. He didn't take any TV time. He didn't talk. He didn't talk at the draft. He didn't do any of this stuff.
Yeah,
and
they
he's
still
getting and he's getting killed and he's getting killed on the other side. So I don't think it's as big of a story as some people made it out to be.
I chalked it up as it's that time of the year when nothing is going on. We got to have something out there to talk about.
Right.
So, and that's kind of how I looked at it. I was like, who gives a shit?
I know.
If he was there or not. Maybe he was getting ready for his trip to Spain.
Maybe.
I mean,
I think there was reports he was at the baseball game. So maybe he was at the Yankees game.
Yeah.
But again, like we don't know. We don't know the story behind it. We don't know if Cal wasn't at the draft with those players. I'm sure there's a very good reason why he was somewhere else.
Let that man live.
Right.
Sheesh. But yeah, and then so all that NBA draft was the little talk, that we can sit here and discuss and stuff. And I was excited. The Shaden Sharp thing, of course, I thought Jerry Tipton retired. Seen several tweets from him saying, the players the last couple of years that played didn't even get drafted or was drafted late. And here this kid is not playing, getting drafted 7, of course.
I don't follow Jerry Tipton, so I don't see any of it.
I don't know. I don't either. So I don't know how the hell like these things are, people I guess I follow are retweeting.
Probably.
But yeah, so I thought that was funny. I was like, aren't you retired? Come on, dude.
Right.
But then we got good news.
Yes.
Big commitment from Robert Dillingham.
Mm-hmm.
Dilly Dilly.
Yep. And
huge.
And I think this has been done for a while.
Yeah.
Because I think there was no way that they were gonna, because I was told last year during football season that the Dillingham commitment was already done.
Right.
To Kentucky.
I remember.
So this is twice now that I've been told that, and at least this time it stuck. Yeah. I don't know what I don't know what happened on the first one. I never did reach back out or talk to the person that told me it was done about what happened and how it flipped to NC State or or what the reasoning was there. But to get a commitment from a Calipari type point guard who we became accustomed to seeing when you go from John Wall to Brandon Knight to De'Aaron Fox and these guys that have been there at Kentucky, it's nice to get back to that and see a kid that's in that, or not maybe quite to that level, but
I think
close
he's
to
the
it.
highest rated.
He's the number one point. He's the number one point guard in the class
since De'Aaron Fox.
Yeah, he's the number one point guard in the class. Depending on whether or not you think DJ Wagner's a point guard or a combo guard or whatever, or two guard. But I think most recruiting services have DJ as a combo guard and Dillingham as the number one point guard.
Right.
But even Dilly can play off the ball. And in Kyle Tucker's story, he was talking to one of the AAU guys or whatever, how Dillingham had came up a level and they wanted him at the point guard. But he told the coach, no, man, I'd rather slide over and play the two. So it's not like Dillingham has to be on the ball to be effective or doesn't know how to play off the ball. So that is a good thing to have. You've got a point guard who is very dynamic. He's fast. He's crafty. He's probably one of the best shot makers in the class. But he's also able to play off the ball if maybe you get that commitment from DJ Wagner, right? And now you've got a couple of guys that can play together because they can both play off the ball. They can both be shot creators. They can both be distributors at the point guard position too. So, I think a lot of people thought when all the smoke started rolling out that Dillingham was going to commit to Kentucky, that was Kentucky backing off of DJ and moving on and locking this kid up as his replacement. But we know now, like, Cal's going to Spain to watch him play.
Right.
So they're not backing off DJ. They want those two to play together.
He's going to Spain to watch DJ, but some other players as well.
Right.
But yeah.
But Dillingham has said he wants to play with DJ Wagner.
Yeah.
So, but to have this kid locked up, well, I won't say locked up because it's just a verbal, but to have this kid committed to, now you've got Reed Shepherd and you've got Robert Dillingham committed right now, 2 5-stars, 2 top 25 guys, or top 30 guys, depending on which recruiting service you look at. That's a pretty good start to your 23 recruiting class.
Right. Well, now you got some guys coming out saying that DJ Wagner is a done deal for Louisville. Jamie Shaw came out with an article saying it's a done deal. Rumors, hearsay.
But he also covered his ass by saying, well, things in recruiting can change. Right. So that's,
so you can go back and say, well, I said
I said things can change.
Right.
But see, that's why, like, when we talked about this before,
right,
that's why I'm a little hesitant to actually 100% believe what he's saying.
Right.
Because of that other line, well, it's recruiting and things can always change.
Right.
Like that's a CYA moment right there.
Right.
Like, if it doesn't happen, well, I said it might change. I didn't say it was 100%. I said
right.
Things might change. So
that's funny.
Like, it's and right after Dillingham committed, Kyle Tucker tweeted that he said he didn't think the DJ Wagner thing was over. So at least somebody who's pretty connected to this staff.
Calipari is going to Spain.
if it was over and DJ was going to Louisville, he would not waste time going to Spain to recruit him. Now, obviously, I think there's other players. I think Ron Holland and Carter Knox, they're both on that team. So there are other players that Kentucky is recruiting and have offered that are playing that he's going to see as well. But he's also going to watch DJ. Yeah. So let's not get it twisted that he's not going to watch DJ. Yeah. And that's probably the number one guy he's going to watch, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
Because of that legacy recruit and the connection with Dewan and Kareem being on the team right now. I know his granddad is at Louisville, and he's got that relationship with KP, because of his grandpa. But he's got the same kind of connection with Cal and
Right.
Dewan and Kareem at Kentucky. So
I want to believe that DJ Wagner is the kid going, what kind of job is that at Louisville?
right.
What? So
You still got to give KP and Louisville props for figuring out a way to hire Milt
loophole, man. If
and
you use
still
a loophole,
be able to recruit.
I'm like, okay,
and still be able to recruit DJ, because I still don't understand how the director of basketball personnel and alumni relations, how is that not a basketball staff position?
Right.
How is that a university job? Right. It still doesn't make sense to me, but whatever. I've been saying for a while anyway that give me one of DJ or Dillingham and I'm good.
Right.
And then we just fill out everything else around him.
I want both.
Hey, here's what I'm hoping. With all this smoke surrounding DJ to U of L, that he commits to Kentucky and the U of L fan base just burns to the ground.
Oh my God. Dude.
Like they will lose their freaking minds.
Oh, this is
on social media.
Like that would be the reason right there. The first reason that I'd be like, yes. And then of course the talent I would be
that's
like, yes.
That's what I like. That's what my like my petty little fandom wants.
Right.
That's why
I get it.
Being petty. That's why I wanted to commit to Kentucky, because I want to see that fan base just lose their minds.
And they will.
And they will
if that happens, yeah.
But as long as we've got one of those two, we're good.
Right.
Because we're still going to have CJ next year. We're still, according to Antonio Reeves, going to have him next year because his plan was a 2-year plan. So you've got those two guys coming back. So now you got 4 guards right now in your backcourt. You got your backcourt's almost done. You need a couple more guys, 1 or 2 more guys probably. And Cal's going to get another guard.
Yeah,
it's going to happen. So, and then you just maybe need a power forward, and a center, So, and there was I think Travis Graff put in a crystal ball for, is it Crystal Ball on Rivals or Futurecast on Rivals for oh Christ, what's his name? Big kid, center to Kentucky, and it wasn't Bradshaw. So, I think Kentucky's going to be just fine when it all shakes out with the 23 class,
right?
And next year's roster,
right? I believe so. And this is the time, like I said, twiddling thumbs, but it's a good vibe. Like we had the draft, it was a good vibe. We had Kentucky players getting opportunities. We had Kentucky players getting drafted. We got a number 1 commit, like unbelievable commit.
Right.
Calipari in Spain. The article that and the tweets that came out was Calipari at the draft was funny as hell. So that's good vibe shit with nothing going on. Twiddling thumbs, like I said. But then you reach out and offer an in-state Kentucky kid, which got the fans like, because Kentucky fans, let's be honest, love
those in-state kids.
Right. I mean, I'll be honest, he could be no good at all, and Kentucky fans would still love it,
right?
Because he's from Kentucky.
Just
so happens this kid is good,
and he's going to break the state scoring record next year.
Yeah.
So and this isn't like, look at the history of Calipari and offering Kentucky kids.
Right.
This is an early offer. He's a 24 kid.
Yep. Travis Perry.
This is an early offer for Calipari to an in-state Kentucky kid. So when he offered Dante Allen and Derek Willis and Dominique Hawkins and all these other kids, they were all already in their senior year. They were already playing. So this kid's going into what is his junior year, and he's already got an offer from Kentucky.
Yeah.
Going into his junior year.
Yeah.
Like that to me says more about how good he is than any kind of ranking. Because we know Cal doesn't just throw out those offers willy-nilly to just anybody.
Yeah.
So now I did see somebody talking about running 24 back with a Reed Shepherd. What Tyler Perry? Travis Perry?
Travis Perry. Yeah.
Travis Perry backcourt. Dude, if that's the backcourt, we're in trouble. I'm gonna fully right. I will double down on that. If that's what we're running out there as our starting backcourt.
Hey, Kentucky fans are hyped up about it, man. They wouldn't give a damn.
Now is them being pieces to your backcourt?
Right.
Yes, that's good.
Yeah.
But you don't want them to be your starting point guard and your starting shooting guard.
I think
because that's when it becomes an issue.
Going to be great on offense. Right. I think he lacks a lot on defense. But that's just
he can't be worse than Dante.
He's about there. He's about there with him. And
so
off subject real quick, I saw on Facebook someone was selling a bunch of Dante Allen's stuff from Kentucky. And
really?
Like 6-7 pair of shoes, some jersey, and it all said game worn. I was like, what? Game worn?
Well, I mean, it's not
negative. I might have 15 minutes logged on
game day worn.
Right. That's what they should. But I'm petty for that. But anyway, so it's a good vibe. It's a good vibe. But now, because we're twiddling thumbs and making it short and sweet.
Well, let's not jump into that yet. Let's talk about UK track.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Cindy McLaughlin goes out yesterday and just casually sets another world record.
Right.
51:40, I believe, was the final time.
41, yeah, 51.
41. And then you watch that race, and it just looks like she's jogging.
Yeah.
Like she's not, it doesn't look like she's straining at all to run this race.
Yeah.
And then she wins that race by nearly 2 seconds. Like that's freaking crazy to me.
Jumping over the hurdles is crazy to me anyway,
right.
Because I don't know if you've ever been up on one of those.
Huge. Yeah. And there's no doubt in my mind she can run faster than a 51:40.
Yeah.
Because I think she needs somebody there pushing her, because there was nobody at those US track championships that were pushing her down that final stretch.
Yeah.
And then you see her afterwards, she's like it looks like she's breathing normal.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't
thumbs up.
Right. It didn't stress her one bit running that race.
Right.
And then you flip to today, and you got Abby Steiner, who goes and runs another sub 22 200 at 21:77. She comes out of that final turn into the final stretch, that final 100, in third place.
Yeah.
And just eventually just like, you know what, I'm done with this. And then dusts them the final 50 meters.
She hit that nice button.
Like it was crazy. Like because you see her, she's like even with these girls or just behind them.
Yeah.
And then she's like, she beats them by like 2 steps.
Yeah.
It's crazy to me what we're seeing from the Kentucky track program. And I know neither one of us are that dialed in to what Kentucky track is doing. But somebody that we both follow, and a lot of everybody, almost everybody follows, Van Hiles, is all about the track.
Yep. Yeah. Got children that run track. I think he's been on record saying that that's probably his favorite sport.
Lost it there for a second. I think Kentucky had another, in the 100-meter hurdles that won the championship.
I'm not for sure.
I don't know. I thought I saw something like that. I may be wrong, It happens from time to time. But I thought I saw something about another current Wildcat winning something.
Jordan Anthony won something, didn't he?
Yeah, he won the under 22 200 meter.
Right.
Man, Kentucky's wide receivers are gonna be fast, man.
Yeah. I
Fast.
love it.
Jordan Anthony, Barry Brown. I can never remember the kid's name from Cincinnati, but he's another slot guy who's a speedster. So yeah, it's crazy the speed that some of these kids have. But it's great to see Kentucky track doing what they're doing and getting that recognition that they deserve.
Yeah, they're killing it. My dog's down there going ham.
I thought it was my dog here for a second.
Yeah, she's down there going nuts. But
just wants to be part of the show.
Yeah, she sees another dog out there. She's like, I want to play, but she doesn't sound like she wants to play, but she's harmless.
Right.
But yeah, so I mean, good vibes. I mean, Kentucky is doing it. We're in everything school.
Yes,
someone teach Matt Jones that. And the game. But good vibes always until we get to this part of the show, and it's still funny. Good vibes. But JD, you know what time it is.
You are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
And now it's time for the dumbest shit from Twitter this week.
It's dumb, dumbass.
What do you got, JD?
Let's start with Jeff. Now we both follow this guy. Like,
yeah, I like Jeff.
He follows us, and we both like him. But man, this is a hot take. Like,
yeah,
I don't understand how you can go to that and have that take.
Yeah,
for last year's team. And he said, "Do you have to be a big fan of every player on the school you root for? Other than Oscar, there was very few I liked on this past Kentucky team. Taking my blue blinders off, I definitely see why teams are passing on Ty. What did Ty do that made him unlikable last year? Was it him? Was it him doing the gritty and dancing after games and being excited and having fun? Was it him
like him getting hurt?
Was it him fighting through those injuries and coming out and playing hurt?
Yeah, trying to play hurt.
Mad trying to be there for his team.
Mad that he couldn't.
Pissed off that he couldn't play.
Right.
How could you not like Kellen Grady or Davion Mintz or Lance Ware?
Or Jacob Toppin.
Right. How do you not like any of these guys? How do you think these guys aren't fun? Right. We all know Oscar's at a completely different level for likability. Like,
right.
We are spoiled as fans to have Oscar Tshiebwe on our team.
Yes.
We don't deserve Oscar. We don't. But that's not to say that the rest of the team was unlikable.
Oh, I know.
Like I don't. That's what I don't get from the. I don't understand with this tweet how he could say that the team was unlikable.
Come on, Jeff.
The players on the team were unlikable. I just don't see it. No,
that's not it, Jeff.
And then we have Michael Shipp II after the Dillingham commitment saying, "I see Ryan Harrow vibes. Hope I'm wrong."
Was it the NC State connection?
I don't know. Like, we all know what Ryan Harrow did on the floor at Kentucky, right? But there were other things going on in that kid's life.
Yeah.
At the time when he was playing that 1 year that were weighing on him. I think his dad was fighting cancer and he was struggling being away from home when his dad's going through that. Like, just because a kid struggles with that doesn't mean he's a bad. Look what he did when he transferred to Georgia State and he was closer to home.
Yeah.
Right? He had a hell of a career for Georgia State. And that was because he was back at home. He was comfortable. He was close to his dad. I get it. I understand that. You're talking about a kid in Robert Dillingham who's from Hickory, North Carolina, who was going to school at LA, isn't that where Donda's at?
Yeah.
Went as far away across the country as you can get from Hickory, North Carolina, to go to high school. He's not going to fight that homesickness that Ryan Harrow was fighting that year and trying to play at the level that you're expected to play at as a point guard or as a player at Kentucky. I can see why Ryan Harrow struggled with that.
We need to reach out to Michael Shipp II to elaborate.
Right. Like what about Robert Dillingham reminds you of Ryan Harrow?
Right.
Is it the way that he plays? Because Ryan Harrow was pretty electric when he was on the floor, coming out of high school.
Right. He says, I hope I'm wrong. Michael, you are.
You're probably wrong.
Very.
Definitely wrong.
And
finally. Yeah, we're only doing 3 this week, so we're going to do it nice and short. We probably could have found a whole lot more.
Oh, yeah. They're out there.
I mean, I know they're out there. I found a couple while we were sitting here waiting to record. But I was like, all right, it's enough.
Right. Yeah.
And this is in replying to Matt Jones about Travis Perry's offer. You mean they finally decided to recruit in-state? About time. Yeah. Are you forgetting about Dante Allen, who was just on the team?
Yeah.
Dominique Hawkins, Derek Willis. It's not like Calipari's never recruited these kids. Dominique and Derek were on the roster for 4 years. Right? So you already had 2 spots that were taken up. Like you don't recruit a Kentucky kid just because he's from Kentucky.
Right.
The kid's not going to play any. He's not going to play any better. Right. He's not going to play better at Kentucky because he's at Kentucky.
Right.
If you recruit him, if he's a MAC level player, he's not going to become all SEC if he comes to Kentucky.
Right.
And guess what? If he's a MAC level player and he comes to Kentucky, he's probably going to sit the bench like Dante Allen did.
Right.
So these kids have to earn those scholarship offers. Then they have to show in practice and in games that they deserve that scholarship and they deserve the playing time that they're going to get. Right. Because it took Derek Willis and Dante and Dominique Hawkins 2-3 years before they saw the floor.
Yeah.
For meaningful minutes.
Yep.
So it's
come on, Charles.
I don't get the infatuation with some Kentucky fans and having to have Kentucky players.
Right.
I get that whole.
And believe me, I'm a Kentucky guy. I have Kentucky on my neck. I am a Kentucky guy, but no, that's not.
My roots run deep in Kentucky, right? My dad was the first generation born outside of the state of Kentucky. So my roots run deep in southeastern Kentucky. And I know there's that stat out there that says every Kentucky title team has had a Kentucky player on the roster. That's a coincidence. Yeah. It's not a reason why they won. Right? Because when they won in 96, after an 18-year drought, who was on the Kentucky roster from Kentucky that actually played? I know Cameron Mills was on the roster, right? But did Cameron Mills play in 96? If he did, he didn't play much, right?
We're talking meaningful
minutes. Actually contributing to the success of that team and the winning of the championship.
Right.
I'm trying to think.
Charles is not saying that.
Well, you know what? I think Derek Anderson was on that team, right? In 96?
Yeah.
So there you go. There's your Kentucky guy who played meaningful minutes on a championship team. But how many Derek Andersons have been on the roster at Kentucky?
Not many.
So it's not like some of these teams that have had Kentucky guys on the roster have had those guys playing a lot of minutes.
All right.
You know, and Derek Anderson, it's not like he went to Kentucky right out of high school.
Yeah, that wasn't his choice.
He went to Ohio State.
Yep.
And then transferred to Kentucky. So he wasn't recruited right out of high school to Kentucky. Or wasn't signed right out of high school to Kentucky.
Right.
I mean, I don't know if Pitino recruited him or not. But it's not like he was there right out of high school. So it's I just don't understand it. I don't get it. And I probably never will. I've had this argument with my cousin.
Yeah.
About how
those fans Kentucky, don't get it either.
All Kentucky, every high ranked Kentucky kid, if he's from the state, he's going to go to Kentucky if they just offer it. No, he's not.
No,
he'll walk on to Kentucky. He'll pay his own way to play. No, he won't. This isn't 1985, right? It's not. It doesn't matter what you would do when you were coming out of high school in 1990. Is that your dog again? It doesn't matter what you would do coming out of high school in 1990, where you would crawl over glass to go play at Kentucky. Kids these days aren't going to do that. It doesn't matter. So it's a different day and time. Kids these days, they want to play and they want to be a part of a team and playing on the floor. So the years and the times of these, lower ranked kids from the state of Kentucky coming to Kentucky just to be at Kentucky are probably over.
Yep.
Because they can go to EKU, WKU, NKU, Moorhead, Murray State. They got all these other options where they're not going to have to compete with 5-star elite recruits for playing time.
Right.
And that's what they're going to do.
That's not it.
And then if a year or 2 years down the road, they get the opportunity to maybe transfer to Kentucky because they've shown that they're good enough to play at Kentucky, then they will.
Yep.
So
that was the dumbest shit from Twitter this week. I really only think the last one was really dumb shit. The other two were more hot takes.
Yeah, but hot takes can be dumb too.
Yeah.
So that was probably the dumbest one.
Yeah. It those people don't get it either. But continuing good vibes. While we twiddle thumbs, Kentucky football is a little over 2 months away.
Right. Like
and then we got August coming out, Bahamas.
Mm-hmm.
Get a little taste of the basketball team. I'm looking forward to that. And then we got vacations coming up.
Yep. I'll be on vacation from the 15th to the 22nd.
And I don't know. My wife would have to tell you dates. I just go. I just go. I just show up and put my feet in the sand.
So I probably wouldn't be opposed to doing a show that first weekend that I'm on vacation, but we'll play it by ear. We'll see. Maybe I'll do one from the patio in front of the pool. Kick back with the pool in the background. I don't know.
We'll see. Hell yeah. But follow JD on Twitter at Tiffin Wildcat and follow myself at JHayesKY. Also follow us on YouTube. Check out our YouTube videos. Religiously.
Yeah, you didn't put up a little preview this week.
No.
You didn't do one.
Too busy. Follow our TikTok at religiously Kentucky _pod. We're easy to find. Follow us everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
And tune in and check us out.
I think the only thing we don't have. I think the only thing we don't have is Instagram, right?
No. But we do have Instagram pages. Tiffin Wildcat, JHayesKY. Follow
I don't post
there as well.
You can follow me, but I don't post shit. So
I post all kinds of shit. So, and that's where we are. Have a great week. I'm your guy Jay Hayes, and he is
JD Hall,
and we are Religiously Kentucky.
Sadly, we're at the end. You've been listening to Religiously Kentucky. They say all good things must come to an end, and this was a damn good thing. But the good news for you is we'll be back soon. Thank you. for listening to Religiously Kentucky. As you can see, we are not passing around the offering plates. Instead, we just ask you that you tell a friend about the show and tell them that the podcast is available on Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast. And you can find us on all social media platforms. Until next time, Big Blue Nation, this is Religiously Kentucky, signing off.